Today, we're going to be exploring what makes a great franchise website, one that not only looks professional, but also drives results. I'm joined by Brandon, the creator of our franchise website platform, and also an owner of the agency, who's going to share some insights into some of the unique challenges we see while building out these multi-location websites and how we overcome them. Thanks for joining me, Brandon.
Thanks for having me.
So I know you've been with the agency for a long time, even before you bought into ownership. Tell me a little bit about your background with CyberMark.
Sure. Yeah. I've been here 13 years. Started as a designer, right? That's my passion. That's what I enjoy the most is web design and designing all things web related. And then, over the years, once we started working with franchise brands, it was just taking that love and passion for design and really, being kind of the architect of our platform, and, how it works, how it functions, while always considering design, but also, functionality for these franchise brands, what they need, both short-term and long-term as they grow and scale and go from there.
One thing we hear all the time in the franchise space is brand consistency. So a franchise website needs to represent the brand at that national level while also catering towards the individual locations. So what is your approach to maintaining that brand consistency?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, people see franchise brands all the time, right? And what do you always know about them? And how do you know they're a franchise brand? Because you see locations on every other corner. And, what's consistent with them is how do they look, right? The storefronts are the same, or the trucks are the same, the vans are the same. We want the website to be treated the same way, right? So every location site should look consistent with what the corporate brand is. The messaging on the website should be consistent with what the corporate messaging is. And the way to achieve that is through, brand consistency. And then, when it comes to building websites, we have to leverage that with templates and national offers and customizable areas that keep that brand consistency in play. It makes it scalable, right? That's ultimately where when you're in the franchise space, you don't generally just want one or two locations. The object is to grow and have potentially hundreds of locations. And to achieve that, you're going to need brand consistency, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to need to be scalable. So, we feel like our platform and our design approach to things allows for that scalability while always being consistent to the brand.
So I know you mentioned small businesses a couple times there. So I wanted to ask, what are some of the unique challenges you see developing a multi-channel franchise website in comparison to, let's say, a single location or small business website?
Sure. So with franchise brands, like you said, we're not dealing with one location, right? So it could be dozens or hundreds of locations. And corporate brands want control, right? So they want to be able to control what's being seen or what messages out there, what offers they're promoting and things like that. So that's one piece, right? So it's not just, what shows up on one site, it's what shows up on, hundreds in some cases. So we have to account for their level of control, but while also giving, a sense of uniqueness to the locations. And then what we run into, probably the most common thing is changes, right? So corporate might decide to make changes to a service offering, add a new service offering that they want, to start promoting, or they have, holiday type promotions. In the beauty industry, we get tons of things, around Valentine's Day or Christmas, stuff like that. In the fitness industry, a lot of stuff, end of year, new year, new you type thing, and they want to push that stuff out. So scalability is huge for us. Central control content, being able to push mass content updates out very easily is really what has helped us with those challenges. Because again, the number of locations won't matter at that point, right? It could be 5, it could be 500. And when we have to make those changes, we can just do a simple sync, push it out, and then everybody gets the updated content, or they have the new promo live. It's really helped serve as well.
So I think that's actually a perfect segue into my next question, which is SEO. So as we all know, that's such a critical aspect of a website's success, both small business and multi-location. So how does web design impact SEO and lead generation for these franchise websites?
Yeah, so SEO is more than just content, right? It is design, user experience, what the user sees. Does have an impact on how it can rank. But the fundamental stuff is still there. It doesn't matter if it is franchise or small business. From a design perspective, we want to give all the elements to the user that they're looking for. Is it a reputable business? Where the location is? If a map is in play, if it's a physical location, right, we have a map. So we have all the critical stuff that's there for the end user. As it relates to Google, or what these search engines are looking for, especially even AI in today's day and age, is we're doing more technical stuff, right? So schema markup on all the different pages, ensuring all the critical information is there, unique content, right? So we don't want all these location sites to have the exact same content. It could be the region that they live in or different things like that we want to showcase on the site. So having unique content helps set them aside, allows them to rank in their own individual market, while still sticking to brand control, right? We're still brand consistent. We're still staying on brand. We're keeping those things there, but we're building in those SEO elements like, unique landing pages, unique offers, specific to that location, schema markup, things like that, again, allow them to be their own individual location under that big umbrella that really helps them rank, both in the short term and long term.
So I know one of the very common challenges we run into when we're working with franchises or even small business websites is custom integrations. Why are these integrations so important, and how can we simplify them?
Yeah, I don't know if we ever simplify them, because with so many different brands, they all use a different CRM, right? So it could be Club Ready, could be HubSpot, MindBody, all these different things. And again, that's only one piece, right? So that's their CRM platform. Some of them may integrate with different listings providers. There's the Yext, the Socios, the Bright Locals, things like that, Google Business Profile, whatever it is. And they need to, right? They have to have those things. And, our focus is how do we integrate with them seamlessly to keep it all cohesive? We don't want the website to be, a separate piece. We want it to be part of, kind of that entire system. So when most of these brands come to us, it's one of the first questions we ask, like, what else do you use, right? It's not just a website. It really has to serve as kind of your central, piece. And how do we connect into everything so everything feeds into it appropriately? Listings, for example, if we're controlling this website and we're setting up hours of operation, we're doing all these things, we want consistency, right? It still goes back to the original thing of brand consistency. We don't want locations out there on listings providers or Google Business Profile with inaccurate information that's different from the website, because that affects user experience. I don't want to go into a place and say, well, I saw on the website these hours, but these hours over here say something different. So we're always looking at ways to integrate. And that's just location information. Then you factor in things like lead generation and closing sales or getting members or things like that. Most of that data has to be housed somewhere. It can be housed in the website, but again, we're back to most of these brands have a CRM system, whether it's a Club Ready or a MindBody. We want that lead data to flow into there. So we make sure we can integrate with those platforms pretty easily in the very beginning, get all the information, and we'll make recommendations on lead attribution that we can attach to leads to give you just more full visibility on something, because you want the full customer journey. How did they get there? Did they sign up for something? What did they sign up for? It helps you kind of report on your return a little bit better that way. So yeah, it's always one of the most challenging pieces, but I would say one of the most important things is how do we make that website and that platform we're building as your central piece to all these other things that you have and that you should have and continue to have. But let's just make sure they all kind of speak to each other and integrate together.
I think we've covered all of the challenges that we see typically when building out these franchise multi-location websites, and as well as our approach to dealing with some of these challenges. So what would be your biggest piece of advice to a franchise brand that's looking to improve their website?
Sure. There's lots of challenges, right? And we know that with, integrations and design and different things. Our approach really is your website should be your vantage point, right? That's kind of your main piece that gives you visibility into everything, right? All the things we covered, CRMs and various booking platforms, brand consistency and design, SEO, the future of AI, all those things. It all starts with the website, right? So, we treat it as your vantage point to your entire brand, all of your locations, and how you can see everything going on, right? With the kind of that top holistic view. As long as you approach it that way, everything else kind of falls into place. and everything gets accounted for. As soon as you separate things out, right, that's where things can be confusing. So that's our approach. That's how we look at, brands of all sizes. Doesn't matter if you're a small brand just getting started, or you're a well-established brand. Same idea, same concept. That's how we approach it.
Very well said, Brandon. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for anyone watching. If you're a franchise brand out there looking to take that next step and looking to redesign or update your website, we'd love to help. Feel free to reach out to CyberMark and we can build you out a brand new website that's great for your brand and every location. Be sure to follow along for more CyberMark education.